Hi, I'm Kat Kabira, and my question for you today: how much do you protect other people's feelings more than respecting your own? Intellectually, this might be an obvious thing. What I found fascinating for myself, just even the other day, was, oh my God, I still do that sometimes. And it's an important awareness to have, and it's something that for a lot of us can be automatic, and it can be something that really can drain us and really prevent us from showing up as ourselves in relationship, have a hard time to actually set boundaries, and create a pain in our own system. Because if we're more concerned about the other person's well-being and while completely disregarding our own, we are actually dismissing ourselves. And if we talk about the essence of grounding, first chakra, it's about I exist, I'm here. I allow myself to be here. And if you've watched other videos or trained with me, you know that I tend to do more of my sharing towards those of us who are more highly sensitive and or considered empathic. And the challenge if we're an empath is that I would call the empath in the shadow is we're more aware of how someone else is feeling physically, emotionally, what they're thinking. We tend to not always have the best boundaries, and a subtle and almost automatic false safety we create for ourselves is I'm gonna just go jump into someone else's system and figure out what's up with them. And it's really challenging because, as we know, there are many times where purposefully or even more often inadvertently, our feelings get hurt, or something isn't working, or something doesn't feel good. And, as much as we want to, pretend that we could just be telepathic all the time, and while telepathy has its place, the growth edge as an empath is use your words, use your voice. And the most challenging space will be actually to say, hey, this is my experience. This is how I'm feeling. When we do that, we actually own ourselves. We own our reality. When we don't do that, we are dismissing ourselves. We're giving up our reality. And how we communicate is so essential. And what I've seen, and part of it is just kind of the communities that I've been part of over the years. Those of us who are empathic almost can take, when we've taken workshops on nonviolent communication or various workshops like that. Well, it definitely has a time and place, and there is a skillful way to communicate so that you're heard. Sometimes we can speak in such a way where it's always sideways, where we're actually just not naming what it is and what's happening. So the growth edge for an empath is, can I be clear? Can you be clear? Can you just state how you feel? And be with it. So instead of stating how you feel and going into someone else's field and being like, is this okay? How are you reacting? I don't know if I can handle your reaction. Just kind of this is how I feel. Ways that we can dress up is almost to diminish our feelings, oh, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I'm gonna do a very dramatic I think about the times I can't believe this is like a funeral smile, when I'm doing this, and even probably a defense mechanism. But when I'd been raped or sexually trespassed or assaulted and wanting to confront someone, how hard it was for me to actually, the real part of me that wanted to say something was fucking asshole. I wonder if that gets edited, but anyway, fucking asshole. That is not okay. And instead it was like, so I don't know if you know this, but it kind of wasn't okay, right? Like there isn't an ownership of our own power. And so the first thing, so that you stop protecting everyone else's feelings, is just fucking own and know, like, oh wow, my usual habit is being more worried about how everyone else is feeling and not really respecting my own feelings. And if you can make a practice, just in general, in all aspects of your life, do you respect your feelings? And I'm going to give you like a softer example. Even in my other video that I made, about making choices, like, do I go to this party or do I go do this thing? Oftentimes we'll have a first feeling that comes up. And for those of us who are really good at not respecting our feelings, we will quickly dismiss whatever that first feeling is. We'll already go into some manipulation of our mind, some quick analysis. It's almost dangerous if you've done like a certain amount of therapy or self-help or like taken X number of workshops, because you already like throw different tricks and spins in your head. It's like, can you be with the rawness of yourself, like whatever that first feeling is, and not analyze and think like, is it wrong? Is it bad? A couple of my students are always worrying like, maybe I'm projecting something. Like, don't go into your head about it. Like, what's your first feeling? Let it have a place. Let it have a place. Feel it in your body. So of course it's so easy to be like, let it have a place, and then go into the mind. Why is that? Is it related to this past trauma? Should I be feeling this way? Blah, blah, blah. Like we can do so many things in our mind. Where is it in your body? What does it feel like? Where is it in your body? What does it feel like? Can you stay with it for 30 seconds? Does it start to move? Does it have a texture? Does it have a sensation? And especially where, because if we're going to kind of do like a little link, anger, not aggression, right? Aggression is when you harm other people in an angry way with that kind of fire, right? I'm talking anger, like the clarity, the purity. We don't usually just get angry for no reason. And for those of us who are very good at dismissing our feelings, we'll feel that anger and be like, I shouldn't feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. And I'm not allowing myself to sense that there might even be good reason for why I feel this way. And I've sat with tens and thousands of people at this point. And usually when we really sit with the anger that's there, it's like, well, no wonder you're angry, right? Like it's a primal force, it's life force, it's self-protection, it's our system being like, something's up, that's not okay. It's a white heat that's actually purifying and clarifying, and it's allowed to be there. And a lot of us, out of fear of maybe, especially as a woman, and men, but for women, I'm more of an expert there. We've been trained like, be good, be nice, be sweet, don't be a bitch, like that fierceness, which actually is us just sitting in ourselves. Like no one would fuck with a lion. Sorry, today's a day where I say fuck a lot. No one would fuck with a lion. Like we don't allow ourselves that energy that's us. We're not here to be smiling, happy people all the time. Like we are the rainbow of everything, and we're actually a life force. We're the incarnate of life force. And right now, sometimes we need to have a bit of fire, to just move forward. It's also discernment. And it's also really being honest, like this is okay and this is not okay. It's integrity, right? Anger and integrity, they hang out, right? So can you let yourself hold that level of power in you that helps you stay right within you, and also as reflection helps others stay right within themselves? Referencing Brene Brown, she really emphasizes to have real compassion, because of course we want to be kind, of course we want to be compassionate, not idiots, compassionate. There must be boundaries there. So if you're not respecting yourself, you might let yourself get walked over. If you're not respecting your feelings, you might let yourself get taken advantage of. If you don't respect your feelings, if you don't respect who you really are, you may end up being like, I don't know why I feel drained, or so angry underneath, or so sad underneath, or not really feeling like I can take up my space, or not even really knowing what I like or don't like, or why I don't have fire, or why I feel depressed. And it's scary. I mean, if we're going to start small steps, let's get a little practical. It's important that you because empaths are like almost easily, or like oneness, and when we die, we go back into oneness, and there are places to have oneness, but also you need to know who you are. And it starts with even being honest, like, oh, this is interesting. My system likes this. My system doesn't like this. I can feel that my system, there's aliveness with this. There's deadness with this. When we're making choices according to our heart and our path, I can feel growth here. I can feel aliveness. This is dead to me. Even if my mind wants to convince myself otherwise, even if other people, it's alive for them, what's alive for me? And that's my question to you. And in a very subtle way, when we don't respect our feelings, and I'm not saying like go on a tangent about them, go do like a whole story about them, go attack other people about them, but just like, okay, I'm noticing I feel this way. Or, hey, that actually hurt my feelings. Or, hey, this is not okay. If you can let yourself respect them, right, you're also starting to respect yourself. So it does take courage, and as an empath, if we're going to go into little tips, 1, center yourself before you communicate. Know that your habit might be to caretake someone or protect their feelings. Remember that you need to take care of yourself and respect your feelings. Find yourself in your center. Usually as an empath, our energy is going to be moving forward. So you've got your whole energy field, which not drawn to size, but it's like an egg around your whole body, in front, back, sides. So just notice, are you too far forward? Pull yourself back. Get yourself into your back body. Ground yourself. And then, you're coming from the intention not to harm them. Just to say, this is my experience. This is how I'm feeling. It might be in a job situation. You might be a boss of someone and you're highly sensitive. And it's like, I've got to deliver some news. And I know that this person's quite sensitive. So, there is a way that we can have word choice. But it also isn't helpful to speak in a dancing around indirect way. It actually is helpful. And I'm not talking attacking, right? I'm just talking being clear. It lands in someone's system differently if you're coming from a place that's clear. So there is that undercurrent mirror that happens. Also, when we're clear, that also will set the boundary. So I'm speaking in a more general way, not just work situations. But if you really name something, just because you're coming from a clear place, not attacking, I'm not so sure if I'm allowed to do this. It's almost like their system. If you're a little bit indirect, they're like, she can't hold her space. I can still get in there, right? So can you be centered and grounded and just be compassionate? Like, I want to go take care of their feelings right now. Like the biggest growth edge for an empath is to let other people have their feelings. I had to say that to a friend the other night. She was like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable in group dynamics because I know all these different people have all these different stories and issues and feelings. And I'm like, great, we're all adults. Let everybody go have their feelings. We don't need to take care of them. And I'm not saying like be a numb, like ice cold robot where you're like not compassionate, but there's a huge difference, right? And sometimes it's like if I'm feeling angry or let me have my reaction. Don't jump in and try to quickly fix it, right? That doesn't feel so good. Just trust that I'm a big girl too. Like I can handle my feelings. Let me have a wave with them. And that's just normal. I've had to learn over the years, like, okay, I'm going to deliver something highly uncomfortable for that person, but it is the truth. And it's actually making a bigger mess by me not saying it. And sometimes in the delay, it's even more messy, right? Like, I'm just going to say it. And, I might know them where it's like, and I'm going to give them, some days to digest it. I don't need to go sit by them, for 5 days and hang out with their whole wave, and I don't need to take their attack in. I'm going to go give them some space to digest. So we are, and it's the same thing for us. Like, if someone tells us something that we may not want to hear, but it's needed to say, it's like, okay, like I'll let myself have my waves with that. So it is trusting that there is space and time to digest it. And of course we have to be compassionate that, there is an authentic side where it's like, we don't want to harm someone, but it is a growth edge. And especially if you're doing any teaching or healing, that you have to trust, and depending on the therapy work that you do, you give tools to others, but trust that people, we have to learn how to be with our own pain. Like that's part of the human process. So just as a friendly reminder, so that we can keep the relational field clear, just check in, because it's just so easy and automatic for an empath of like, let me care for you really quickly, like I'm going to make your feelings more important. And even annoying, I've got a couple of friends that do it where I'm like, people, can you stop wasting time and just be straightforward? Like, I see what you really want to say. Be straightforward. So this is my loving message to you today. I hope you have a beautiful week and weekend, and see you soon.